Okay, and now we go to the third architect and the last one today, German, and not an architect that should be ignored, who should be ignored. And he was actually, he built a lot. I'll show some buildings by him, his most important buildings here. Paul Bonatz, 1877, 1956. So he lived a longer life. Was a German architect, member of the Stuttgart School and professor at the Technical University in that city during part of World War II and from 1954 until his death. He worked in many styles, but most often in a simplified neo-Romanesque, and designed important buildings, public buildings, both in the Weimar Republic and under the Third Reich, including major bridges for the new autobahns. In 1943, he designed several buildings in Turkey, returning to Stuttgart in 1954. So this was the architect, Paul Bonatz. And now we'll see some drawings by him. And I like the way he draws. I think he has a sensitive graphic work. This is a study for the railway station in Stuttgart, and you are going to see the building, and it's a very important building. Another drawing that was qualified or was described as being self-centered or self-sufficient. I love this. You know, this is not architecture; is a landscape, is a paysage, but it's very sensitively done. And now you'll see. Unfortunately, you won't be able to see very well. There are pencil drawings on yellow tracing paper. But I like this study, which is almost like a discrete, modest rendering. Some views from the interior. I really like his drawings. I think they are very sensitive, and they have a level of seriousness and discretion that I admire. You know, very rarely architects draw like this. Most of the time, architects do vulgar drawings in the names of selling the idea or whatever. But of course, these are drawings for study. I mean, it looks, some of them, he barely touched the yellow tracing paper with a pencil. But this very hesitancy, I like. Now, you could say there isn't much hesitancy here. There isn't. It's a proposal for a monument, and monumental it is indeed. Now, we look at the Stadthalle in Hanover, 1911, 1914, so more than 100 years ago. He did this large building, and it still stands. You cannot say that there is a lot of modernity here, but it's not so important. It is a building that you cannot really ignore. So Paul Bonatz, and we'll see some of his most important buildings. Although if you look on Wikipedia, the German site, you'll see that he built a lot. Now here I couldn't find the wording in English. It should be l'Aerostar, not Le Aerostar. I don't know what it is, from 1915. It's maybe a competition entry, but very, very monumental and impressive. It is some kind of a neo-Romanesque architecture. That's why I mentioned Richardson, and through Richardson, of course, the Romanic architecture, or the Romanesque architecture. This is a building which I don't know what it is. I don't know how it is called, but I liked it. It's an industrial building, but you see how effective it is, this dramatic opening into the wall, and look at that stair within the building. And it's interesting. And I think there are suggestions here for a very interesting kind of architecture where you leave a certain mystery about what kind of a function this is. You know, we can only approximate. It looks like an industrial building, but it is intriguing. Too bad I have to make more research about this building. Now, a barrage, which is also, you know, this is an utilitarian building, a utilitarian structure, but it is architecture. It is a barrage, but, you know, you could almost say it's some kind of a monument. It's simple, but it has expressivity, power. So in the years 1933 to 1935, the architect Paul Bonatz was able to design and realize the town hall with water tower in Kornwestheim. The ensemble consists of an administrative building and a tower. Very interesting to place within and together with a water tower, a city hall, a town hall. The composition consists of the just juxtaposition of a horizontal and a vertical structure. In this respect, the design is reminiscent of the main work of Paul Bonatz, the main station of Stuttgart. In the upper part of the 48-meter high tower is a water reservoir. The lower floors are used as additional offices. On the tower facades, the reinforced concrete framework was deliberately left visible to display the tectonics. With a slight inclination to the inside, the tower tapers with increasing height. The supports of the concrete truss are also made slimmer in the upper areas. The striking elements of the tower are the two asymmetrical arranged clocks and balconies. The horizontally formed administration wing is covered by a hipped roof. On the top floor is a large meeting room that extends to below the roof. So this is, you know, what an interesting idea to combine a representational function for the city hall, with a water tower. I find it interesting. I'm not convinced about the horizontal building with its pitched roof, because it's a little bit too passé and too predictable and too placid. But the tower is interesting, you know, in a way, a habitable water tower. And I like that this hybridity, you know, where you combine a civic function with a, you know, an industrial function. And you know, you notice this, you know, the variation in the levels. Here you have the so-called domestic, you know, functions, and then above the industrial functions. It's an interesting idea, and I think bringing together even conflictual functions could generate interesting results. Too bad. I doubt the value of this part of the building. Now we arrive at his maybe most important work, which is the train station, the central station in Stuttgart, an important German city, as you know. And not far away from it is the Stuttgart colony, architectural colony, where you can see buildings by Le Corbusier and Mies and Hans Scharoun and others. But this is the train station. When only once I was in Stuttgart, and I saw this train station, I said, this was done by a good architect. I didn't know who did it. But now I know, and I would agree that my intuition was not far from truth. It is a good building, and this stone makes it impressive. It is a little bit, Teutonic, but it has force, it has stability, it has, you can trust this building, so to speak. And the flowers in the foreground add some gentleness and gracefulness to the whole thing. And the clouds, of course. So between the flowers and the clouds, you have the rusticity of Bonatz building. I love this picture, in terms of photograph, it is a fine photograph, with a building in the mist, in the fog, and, the old cars. It's a poetical picture of the main of the central station, railway station in Stuttgart, by Paul Bonatz, whose birthday is today. And we see a picture also of the same building, the same integrity, the same neo-Romanesque, but it's also, you can tell this is, the 20th century, without doubt. But towards the outside, it could be, although, no, it has a level of modernity, but the material he used is, could have been used in a different century. And this is the plan. The building is at the bottom, and you see here where is the tower, and here is the big arch. And here we have the railways where the great, well-functioning German railways, trains arrive and depart from. It's almost like, some kind of a cathedral of transportation. Well, something, since I showed the Orthodox church, St. Nicholas by Calatrava, I could mention him again. The transportation hub at the World Trade Center by Calatrava also, attempted to be some kind of a cathedral-like. In his case, I would say not in a very inspired way and in a very expensive way, but here in the case of Stuttgart, we could also say that there is some kind of closeness between the railway station and something else. I said a cathedral, but maybe the word is a little bit too generous. So a building in Düsseldorf, an office building, and it's strikingly convincing even for today. It has a verticality. It doesn't use the windows, the famous horizontal windows that the modernity of Le Corbusier advocated, but still, it's a modern building. Another building from 1915, 1916. It's an industrial building. But look at the entrance here with the two stairs. You think you are in Campidoglio. And this is, I think, an interesting, again, in the same spirit of bringing various references. So you have here an industrial building, but you also have, some kind of oblique connection with what happened for example, in Campidoglio in Rome. So I think if you connect culture with the industry, something interesting could happen, perhaps, sometimes. And at night is even more striking because of those red things at the top, which are probably newer additions. And I even wonder, is it really how it looks like at night? I don't know German, unfortunately, but I took these materials from the German website. Again, Düsseldorf, we saw this one actually. And another one in Stuttgart. This is, you see the influence here via Italy, Renaissance. Maybe there is a little bit too much gracefulness here. And too much obviousness in the relationship with the history of architecture. Paul Bonatz. I wonder what is the symbolism of this particular animal chosen to be placed right there at the top. He also built the State Opera in Ankara, 1946-1948. And, you know, he returned here to his neo-Romanesque style. Although I see some, at least in the black and white pictures, the telluric aspect of the brick is not so apparent. And this is the plan, you know, a large building. So he worked in Turkey, he worked in Ankara, but several important German architects did that. You know, they sympathized, or I don't know, with Istanbul, with the Middle East, with you know, going eastwards. I think this is the last picture that I have now on the work of Paul Bonatz. Thank you very much.